so I can see you. Sorry, folks, this is what live video is. And
for all our fans out there.
for all the one person watching. And so, yep, I'm just going to watch this right here because this beginning part will be cut later. All right. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the stream. And we're here.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's far. So next week we'll get a little closer. I'm Oliver the Ricketts.
I am Brittany Spear.
And this is a quick test stream of sorts. Hopefully this becomes something that we can do more often. But welcome to the first If You Care, We're Live stream.
If you care, we're live.
So if you care, keep watching. This is not Goddammit Hello, which is a canned podcast that I think, still do on this channel.
Hard to say, really.
Hard to say. There hasn't been one in a while. We have a couple in the can, but we just can't keep stagnant like this. So we're going to go on. We're going to talk. It's going to be what it is. And hopefully you're here for it.
And for now, it's just going to be me and Oliver. So
yep.
We'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, so this has been kind of a rambly intro, and also we're working off of one mic, so we'll see how we do with this. If it's something that I think is worth it, we'll keep doing it.
This is very much a test run.
Yeah.
So if you're here,
thanks.
Hence
why it is airing in the middle of a Saturday only to YouTube with no prior announcement. But there are a couple things that I wanted to talk about before they become irrelevant. First of all, because it's live, we can say things from the same day. Happy anniversary to one of the best movies of all time, Jaws.
Jaws, yeah. I actually think it's technically tomorrow, but...
Yeah. Well, no, it's today. Well, you know what?
I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow, but it's fine.
It's close enough. Which is why you're wearing your Jaws tank top. And why we're... Well, it's not at all.
Which anniversary is it?
Good question. And while you check that out, I'm going to talk about the show. We have a couple things that we want to talk about before we go off. First of which being Bo Burnham's Inside, I think is amazing. We're going to talk about it because I don't think it's getting the shine that I expected it to, although TikTok absolutely loves it. We're also going to talk about a movie called Mainstream that we watched in relation to Inside. And I have, there's some troubling stuff going on with Batman, if you didn't know. Batman's in trouble.
Batman's in trouble. Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you all about it, but let's.
This is the 46th anniversary of Jaws.
The 46th Jaws anniversary. And where did Jaws takes place in Amityville? Or
no.
Is that, no, but
so it takes place on Amity Island, which is supposed to be off of Cape Cod, but apparently it is inspired by places like Amityville, Cape Cod, Nantucket. You know, it's like it's not a real place. It's just inspired by those places.
But Long Island inspired all the same.
Yes, Long Island and Cape Cod.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. If you're the one person on Earth that hasn't seen Jaws, I guess definitely check it out. You know what else they should check out?
What?
Bo Burnham's Inside.
Yes. One of the reasons that Jaws is inspired by Long Island specific and, those other areas is because we do actually get great white sharks off of our coasts.
There was a scare last year, no?
Yeah. I believe so. And then, that wasn't the same day we were in Fire Island. That was the year before that we were in Fire Island.
Right.
That there was a shark scare.
And they kept finding him around Fire Island.
Yeah. So there you go. A little history. A little facts.
A little bit of history. Glad you joined us this Saturday morning, folks.
Yes, thank you. Afternoon. It's 3 o'clock.
2 people here watching. Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. So anyway, Inside. First of all, Bo Burnham, I feel like is one of those comedians where around 2015, the internet kind of decided that a bunch of popular things were not cool to like, including Eminem. And I think Bo was one of those, coming off the heels of Make Happy, which everybody loved. And then I guess people decided, bleh.
Yeah.
Which is stupid because he was incredibly popular before that. But he hasn't done a comedy special since 2015, something that he goes into in his new special.
Definitely wouldn't. There are comedy aspects to it. One of his songs is literally called Comedy. But I would not call it a comedy special. I would call it, I don't even know, just a short film. It's really just a short film by a comedian.
It's more an experimental short film than it is anything else. But it's being sold by Netflix as a comedy special because that's what Bo Burnham does.
And I would say, go as far as to say the first half is very comedy-centric, but the second half is not at all.
Not comedy at all.
Literally does a heel turn, and it's actually more about mental health and content creation and what being inside does to you.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, because a lot of it is about the quarantine and how being inside affected him mentally, which is all interesting. But, my worry with that is then there are things like Lockdown, that movie that we watched at the beginning of this year, where it's like, I'm worried that there's going to be art coming out that uses the pandemic as a crutch more than anything.
But you know what I appreciated about this, and I actually was thinking about it earlier, not once, I believe, correct me, I could be wrong, but we've watched the special like 2-ish, and
I've listened to it.
We listen to music all the time now. I don't think he once says coronavirus or COVID-19.
No, he does not.
He never says that. So even that alone, that has to be an intentional.
And the only time he ever gets anywhere close to it is when in the song "Put Your Hands Up," he talks about how he had too much anxiety to continue doing live stand up after 2015, and he only just got back into it in January of 2020, and then obviously the lockdown happened, and that's the closest he gets to even mentioning why he's inside.
Right.
But, while all those themes are present and handled much better than I think most people have handled them in the media we've seen from it so far, the one aspect that I really wanted to talk about was how it handles the internet and this age. It starts right off the bat with a song called Content that's all about, feeding the machine. Where we're living in an age where there's about 1 million things you could watch every second. There's things like this live stream all the way up to everything else on YouTube. And it's a crazy amount of stuff that your brain is never not occupied anymore. Even when you're outside in the world, you still have your phone on you. Things are still popping up from the internet from everywhere. And the special really goes into deeply how that affects your mindset and what that means for mental health as a whole. Which was interesting because just the week before we watched this, we saw a movie called Mainstream with Andrew Garfield. And I love Andrew Garfield as an actor. I'm not one of these people that thinks his take on Spider-Man was trash. I don't think that he's ever been bad in a movie.
We've hit our Spider-Man quota already for the live stream. Continue.
I don't think he's ever turned in a bad performance. He's been in some bad movies. Amazing Spider-Man 2, for example. But what I like about his career is he picks projects that are experimental and out there, and you can't really peg what he's going to do, because at one minute he's doing The Amazing Spider-Man, big blockbusters, or he's doing Hacksaw Ridge, which is a major budget war film, and then he's doing things like Under the Silver Lake, which is so, for better or worse, so incredibly niche, and for a certain audience, and not for everybody else, or he's in social networking and what have you.
I would say I really hadn't given Andrew Garfield a second thought at all. Like, I never saw his Spider-Man movies. I didn't care. I really the only thing that I had seen him in was Hacksaw Ridge, which I really liked.
Right.
And The Social Network, which you just mentioned.
Which he's amazing in.
Right. So for me, it's like it doesn't really matter anything that Andrew Garfield does. But after watching Mainstream, I really did notice, like, not even necessarily his acting range, but just his, like, performance range.
The likability of Andrew Garfield,
yeah,
which is interesting. Because, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay, go ahead.
there's not a lot of nice things I have to say about Mainstream.
No, except for the fact that he and Maya.
Maya Hawke.
Maya.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that he and Maya Hawke were both very, very good in the film.
Right. It's a performance movie.
Yeah.
And Andrew Garfield, even when the movie doesn't hold together, you can see how much fun he's having playing kind of an unstable guy. But what I said immediately when the movie went off, because the movie's all about kind of a parody of Logan Paul and the influencers of today.
And Logan Paul is actually even in the movie.
Jake Paul's in it.
Jake Paul is actually in the movie.
Same guy.
I don't care who either of them are. All I know is one of them put a dead body on their YouTube, and the other one's got knocked out, or didn't get knocked out by Floyd Mayweather.
Somehow.
Both
Logan.
Got it. Both Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jake is his brother.
Sure.
But in any case, the movie is trying really hard to make a statement about the same statement that Inside is making about how much content we're consuming at all times and how easy it is to manipulate people with that being the real world, you know, which is a lot of what Inside talks about. And actually, it's interesting because Andrew Garfield plays a character called Link, who online takes on this persona called Nobody Special, who is kind of like your every guy, what have you, entertainer. But then in reality, he's a rich kid, you know, who's never struggled at all and is not somebody that you would think of as your archetype of like a model human being.
Right.
You know, which is kind of what Inside did at the same time when they they have Bo the entertainer is there, and then there's Robert who sings all the later songs about how unhealthy he is and how he doesn't see exactly where he fits in the world. But then there's Bo, that's the content creator and the entertainer, that's a whole different personality, who sings kind of all the funny songs at the beginning. And it's funny because when Mainstream was over, it was such a hard eye roll from me. And I even said, I was like, I don't see, like, I'm so sick of this internet bad message that every movie decides it wants to have from now on. But Inside took the exact same message and for whatever reason handled it so infinitely better than Mainstream did.
Because it was a real person and it wasn't a parody or a development of multiple people and multiple personalities, because you know Bo Burnham. You've been watching Bo Burnham now for, 10 years or so, like ever since Zach Stone is going to be famous.
Right.
And you can relate to him because you're familiar with his work. Whereas something like Mainstream, it's like, oh, I can see they're pulling from Jake and Logan Paul in this one, or oh, they're pulling from this person and this YouTuber in doing that, and it's like,
but it's really just Andrew Garfield.
But it's really just Andrew Garfield, exactly. Whereas in Inside, it's Bo Burnham the whole time, or at least who we know Bo Burnham to be. But towards the end of it, you get Robert Burnham, and that's somebody that we technically have never really been introduced to or don't know. But you know that he's got his persona, his online, his acting, all these things that he does. And now this Inside really gives you an insight into who he is when he's not performing. And it was really nice to be able to get that snapshot, I guess you could say, into his life, even though it is severely depressing, and he makes that known that he is depressed. He doesn't want to hurt himself or anything like that, but he is depressed, and it's all kind of culminating into this, I know I have to make more content in order to stay relevant, or in order to be out there in the world, but now I can't go anywhere, and that's taking its toll on me mentally. So it's almost like he's having this conflict of like, what is more depressing to me? Knowing I have to make you content, or knowing I can't even fucking leave my house?
And he talks a lot about being creatively trapped.
Yeah.
There's a lot of songs about, well, can you even be funny right now? And about feeling like you're stuck in a box creatively, because the second half is not anything he's done before.
Right.
It's all very serious songs about mental health. Still lightly funny, but funny in the same way that like a pop punk song is funny.
Yeah.
Like that would talk about real stuff.
Right. Cut my wrist and black my eyes.
Right. What song is that? I don't know it.
It's Ohio is for Lovers.
Oh. Ohio is by who?
By Hawthorne Heights.
Oh, I think you said Bohio is for Lovers.
No, Ohio is for Lovers by Hawthorne Heights.
Anyway,
that was for my millennials.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I miss being a millennial.
My post emos.
So I just wanted to bring that up because I'm seeing a lot of discourse about it, and I'm not seeing this discussed as much. And for what it's worth, a lot of the reviews that I've watched of Inside, although very favorable, are also so cringy. So hopefully we didn't just come off very cringy, but I thought that was something that was interesting.
We're not trying to sound pretentious by saying, oh, you should watch this because XYZ. We're just saying, it makes sense that...
Right. I'm just saying it's good.
It's good.
And, mainstream, which I wanted to love so bad, you know.
And you like the editing.
Not good. Oh, mainstream, from an editing and cinematography standpoint, is a beautiful looking movie with a lot of very cool ideas, but it doesn't hold together, which is also interesting because Inside is fragmented on purpose. Things come up very suddenly and then are suddenly over, but it all holds together in what the main agenda of the piece is, which is what makes it a masterpiece.
Right.
Whereas mainstream is a lot of great moments of editing and cinematography and acting, but none of it goes together. It doesn't even feel like it's the same movie sometimes.
Right.
So anyways, but I would give Inside is by far, and I'm going to count it. I've been thinking about if it counts as a movie or is a film, or if it's a comedy special like Netflix says.
It's a movie.
It's a movie, and my favorite one so far this year. So Inside is in A+. We haven't really reviewed a ton of movies this year, but
I'm gonna give it an A myself, only because it doesn't get an A+ because the 2 times we watched it, the first time we turned it off before it started getting heavy. The second time, and that it wasn't intentional. It just it was getting late or something like that, and we turned it off. The second time I ended up falling. If you're not into looking at certain forms of media as art and as having non-explicit explicit messages with a lot of latent socio-political kind of things underneath, if you're not used to watching stuff and being able to kind of pick it apart in that way, this will probably mostly go over your head. You probably won't like it. Because I don't even consider myself, a lot of the times, I'll have to kind of look stuff up afterwards and be I know that they're trying to talk about something here, but I don't really know what it is.
Which, that feeds into something funny we were talking about Andrew Garfield, but something like an Under the Silver Lake or I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is much more what this is akin to, which brings me to my second point about it, that it's a damn shame that Netflix is marketing it as a comedy special.
Yeah.
Because I think if you go into it looking for a comedy special, you're going to end up disappointed.
Didn't they market I'm Thinking of Ending Things, though, under, their quirky category?
Romantic comedy.
And, I specifically remember the word quirky.
That movie is not quirky.
I would not...
It's
quirky.
Dark.
No, it is absolutely dark, and it is very strange, and... it's one I couldn't get behind, but we've already talked about that.
For those who saw our video earlier this year, it is one of my favorite movies of the year. I think your expectations just need to be adjusted to what you're walking into. That really changes a lot, And while we're on the topic, I'll give mainstream. That's still it's a D movie.
Yeah.
A D- to D+.
Yeah.
It's not a full F because there's a lot of artistic value in it.
And there were parts of it that, when we were watching it, I was okay, that's cool. I can kind of see where they're going. But then, towards the end, it kind of just, fell off. And I was just is this over yet? I just wasn't...
Yeah, not into it.
It wasn't one of those things where you're I want to see what happens. Because basically, they revealed to you kind of in the middle of the movie what the twist is.
Right.
And then you're just kind of, okay, is this ever going to...
But it's never relevant.
No, it's never relevant. It's is this ever going to come back? And it really... It does and doesn't at the same time.
It's one of those things, too, where it's the way Inside talks about the internet is timeless because it's more about consuming information.
Right.
Whereas the way mainstream talks about the internet is already dated. The day the movie came out, it was dated.
Yep.
You know, so, but I would give that a D-. We've been seeing a lot of really cool movies, though, lately.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't done a lot of the ride home reviews because I don't feel like a lot of people are going to the movies, and so why am I going to do this? And B, I'm just feeling much more creatively fulfilled on other things. We have a really cool video coming out about Wish.com, which I'm really excited about.
Starring me.
Starring you. And, you know, for what it's worth, my seltzer video, although Google is actively suppressing it, which is complete bullshit.
The seltzer video is really good. If you haven't watched it yet, you should.
Artistically, I feel like it's one of the best pieces in the catalog.
It's basically shadow banned. You can watch it. You can get to it. We can share the links. You can go to it. It's not like it's been taken off, but we are not being promoted at all for that video.
And
we can't pay for promotion and nothing. And just because we're drinking alcohol in it.
Whereas the other two food videos did so well.
Yeah. And this is, I think, the best of the three.
Yeah. I think it's one of the best as far as an edit job. Not to toot my own horn, but I think it is one of the best things I've ever cut.
And we're not having like a woe is me moment. That's not what it's for. But it is unfortunate because there are probably a lot of other content creators out there and people who edit and stuff like that the same thing sort of happens. It's like there's one thing that YouTube or Google doesn't like. You know, this one was trying to peg us. I'm not even going to say it because I don't even want to get flagged.
No,
but
I don't.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just... Just go watch it. It's good.
Check it out. And keep an eye on us because I have about 5 videos that I'm working on right now that are all very exciting.
Yep.
That I'm excited about. So, you know, creatively, I don't see room to be reviewing every movie. But I'll also throw out that Cruella was very good.
Cruella was very good. I really was surprised by Cruella. I was kind of waiting for me to not like it.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
It was one of those movies I walked into thinking I wasn't going to like, but I was going because I liked the trailer.
Yeah, and the same thing happened for In the Heights. I was waiting for myself to just not like it, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. And it's interesting because it's really not something we can totally relate to. It's about a totally different culture than ours, but like it's beautiful. It's
not
beautifully
our
done.
Backdrop at all.
No.
We live in New York, but not that part of New York.
But it's so beautifully done, and it like really like makes me appreciate something that I don't normally interact with as well. And I can only imagine if you have a similar background, how much it would resonate with you to watch that because it's beautiful.
So great.
Yeah.
And
really,
we were
really
not
good.
big Hamilton fans either.
No.
So
we were not.
You know,
even though there's a little Hamilton callback in the Heights,
which
I appreciated. Yeah.
Kind of neat. So that's kind of what we've been up to.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully the 2 podcasts come out and then people can see. Also, we got engaged, which has not been mentioned on the channel at all. But there's a podcast supposedly coming out about it. Eventually.
Yep. Eventually. We'll maybe get there.
Yeah. I'd really like at least that one to go up.
Did it. You know, we...
But anyhow.
Anyway.
What's
up with Batman?
What's up with Batman?
What's up? This is the mystery. I wasn't allowed...
Trying to think of a cool segue.
No, what's up with Batman?
What's up with Batman? What's up with Batman is DC keeps telling him what to do. You know, we've seen a Batman in the last couple years that I have not been a fan of.
Like Robert Pattinson?
You'll... Hold on. Animated Batman we're worried about right now, but...
Okay.
I'm very excited about the Robert Pattinson Batman.
Okay.
Because we've had a Batman in the last couple of years that I don't relate to. I don't like the Batman that shoots people in the face.
Right.
I don't like that Batman in the way they've been treating him recently. The last animated Batman thing that I saw was Batman and the Killing Joke, where I awkwardly had to sit there and watch them put a revisionist scene where Batman has sex with Batgirl, who is 18 in the movie, and his best friend's daughter on top of a building. So that was the last animated Batman thing I saw. I was not happy about that. Then Zack Snyder came along and said, Batman kills people now. Then the Snyder Cut came out, and the Joker literally told Batman, well, if you kill me, who's going to give you a reach around? Yeah, that's the dialogue. And then Batman tells the Joker, and this is sub-tangent, because this will all become relevant in a minute. In Batman lore, there's a very famous book where Batman goes to visit the Joker in Arkham Asylum and basically tells him, I know you're going to break out again. I know we're going to have to fight each other again. And a lot of people are dying around you. So although I have a rule where I don't kill people, I'm going to have to kill you or you're going to have to kill me, and that's going to be the end. And the book is written to show how much that tears him apart and how much he doesn't want to do that, but it's for the greater good. Mm-hmm. Snyder Cut, there's a scene where Batman tells the Joker, "When I kill you, I will fucking enjoy it." And that's the direct quote. I will fucking enjoy it. So I'm not really happy with how they handle the character. But I'm thinking that I really like Matt Reeves as a director, and I'm very excited about what he does with the character. But I just heard about another Batman that I could have related to if they would have let what they wanted to do happen. Do you know this Harley Quinn show on... I think it's on HBO Max.
No.
Okay, so there's an R-rated Harley Quinn show out there right now.
An cartoon?
It's a cartoon,
okay.
but it's written for adults. And, you know,
okay.
they curse and they have sex and they, you know.
Big mouth, got it.
Right. Apparently the show's very good. And Kaylee Cuoco is the voice of Harley, and they do a lot of very interesting things. I have not watched the show, to be fair.
Does sound interesting, though.
I will watch it once. You know what? It's not on HBO Max yet. That's the whole thing. It's on DC Universe Unlimited or whatever their streaming service is. All that stuff is getting folded into HBO Max for sure.
Okay.
So I'll watch it then. But they're on season 3 right now, and season 3 has introduced a Batman character. And this show is very well known for being allowed to do whatever they want. Harley is a lesbian on the show with Poison Ivy, which
Sweet.
is awesome. And that's relevant to this too.
I dressed up as Poison Ivy one year for Halloween. I made my whole costume.
Yeah. I would throw it up, but we're live and I don't have it queued.
It's fine.
But what the creators recently sat down with Huffington Post to talk about the show and the things that they've been allowed to get away with. And they were talking about things that they have not been allowed to do. And one of them is they had an entire scene where the implication was Batman was going to go down on Catwoman. And DC went ahead and said, we can't do that, even though every other character on the show, there's a lesbian couple on the show that has sex. So what's the issue? You know? DC says Batman can't do that because heroes don't do that.
Yes, they do.
Which is
I'd say the real heroes are the ones that do.
So here's the direct quote from Huffington Post. In this third season of Harley, we had a moment where Batman was going down on Catwoman. And DC was like, you can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. They're like, heroes don't do that. So we said, are you saying all heroes are selfish lovers? They were like, no, it's that we sell consumer toys for heroes. It's hard to sell a Batman toy if Batman is also going down on someone. How stupid is that?
But they have no problem showing him having sex with Batgirl
With
on
Batgirl,
top of a building?
or shooting guys in the face. How about I don't want to buy a Batman toy that's a mass murderer, but I can go out and get the Ben Affleck Batman action figure anytime. There's a toy line from the Killing Joke movie. Harley and Poison Ivy both have action figures.
Listen, if eating kitty is not your thing, that's really fine. Should probably grow up, but what? Like,
well, and here's the thing. I didn't want to go, hardcore, like, unapproachable on this podcast, but I don't like this notion from a lot of the major studios that consensual sex between people is not okay.
Is inherently bad, yeah.
Because Taika Waititi is having the same issue where him and I apologize, I don't know his girlfriend's name, or maybe it's his wife. They pretty much confirmed to have had a 3-way with Tessa Thompson. There's an image of the three of them making out somewhere, and Disney has cracked down on him. And it's one of these things, if everybody was consenting to that situation, then what's the problem? And it always goes back to with them, well, bad example for children. And I guess I just don't see how. If you have 2 consenting adults, what is the issue?
I don't have kids, and I understand that, like, people who do have kids maybe feel differently about it. But if you can't have a conversation with your child, if something like this comes I pity you. I do. I don't know. I don't know. I can't, because I'll
don't have children
run onto a tangent about it.
Well, and, what I don't like the notion also that the other characters are villains on the show so they can do it. Like, it's something to be ashamed over, that only bad people
eat kitty.
And it's Catwoman, too.
Exactly.
That's insane to me. And not to mention, the show has a hard R rating on it. There's no kids watching the show. You know? I don't really get it, but I don't
get it either. That's just so strange.
Isn't that weird? And why would anybody care?
I don't know.
It's not like in the Robert Pattinson movie he's going to do, but
I could understand if nobody did it.
Right.
You're not going to go out of your way to show Batman going down on Catwoman. But if everybody else is doing it, and that's the nature of the show, is to have this hard R and be like realistic
edgy.
for adults and edgy, then why not?
Well, not to mention,
if anything, if I were Catwoman, I would just be like,
I have some tweets to read for you in a minute.
Kick rocks, Batman. You know.
And you know, but then major motion pictures like Batman vs Superman can show Batman being an alcoholic and hooking up with people as one night stands. There's literally a scene where Ben Affleck gets out of bed with a woman who the implication is he had a drunken one night stand with. That's okay?
Right.
I don't understand. You know? But this did spawn some really funny tweets that I want to read out. And again, if this was more of a prepped live stream, I'd have them ready to go and showing off here, but I don't. One person tweets, Batman begins, but none of the ladies finish.
I like that. Sorry.
Joker. And where is Batman? Catwoman. I can tell you where he's not.
Oh. Hey now.
Yeah, a lot of really good ones. But I just... Is it just me? Like, I'm just bothered by that heroes don't do that.
It just seems a little bizarre. It seems like a very weird blanketed statement to make. And I just feel like there's an elitist factor to that now. Now you've turned it into something that it shouldn't be, because what you're saying is good people
don't
the
go
heroes
down on their women.
Don't eat the kitty. But all the bad people, they can. It's like I'd rather laugh with the sinners than cry with the saints. Literally.
How?
What the sinners are much more fun. You know, Why are we even it's almost like, why are we even having this conversation? It's so bizarre.
This person tweets, one of the problems is that Batman can't move his neck when he's in the cowl.
He's got Big Ed syndrome.
This is true.
And you know what? I bet you Big Ed don't eat any kitty either.
I bet you Big Ed doesn't even know how. Speaking of Big Ed, I love that show. I hate it, but I love it. I'm just glad Batman's parents aren't alive to see this discussion.
Exactly. Exactly. If you want to be selfish, you don't want to please your women's, that's on you, Batman.
And that's our message this week.
You were always the coolest superhero to me. But now...
You know who goes down canonically?
Who?
Spider-Man.
There you go.
There you go. And that's why Spider-Man is the better of the two.
He is the web slinger.
Well, but then sometimes it's radioactive and it winds up giving Mary Jane cancer. But that's for a whole other time.
We're done with
whole
that
other
now.
Time. But that's our message for this weekend. is heroes don't do that, but cool guys do.
Yeah. So would you rather be a stuffy superhero or cool? You know who I bet you does eat kitty? The Fonz, who's the coolest guy ever.
And here's the other thing. If I see Taika Waititi's if I'm a kid and I somehow know that Taika Waititi directed
I can somehow conceptualize what a threesome is, who Taika Waititi is.
And what directing a movie is, and that the movie doesn't just happen because if you're 9, you know. If I could somehow conceptualize that, Thor's now the coolest of all the superheroes.
And so is Valkyrie.
Batman's the coolest if Batman goes down on Catwoman, and I can understand that at a young age.
Mm-hmm. And this is really one of the only countries that makes sexual things so taboo. It's so ridiculous. We would be so much happier as a society if everybody could just let their freak flags fly. As long as everything is consensual, legal, all that good stuff.
Then do your thing,
Do your
Batman.
thing. Batman, instead of the bat signal, it should be a freak flag just up in the sky for Batman.
And you know what? I'm much more comfortable with Batman going down on Catwoman, who has always been his girlfriend, who he was going to get married to, than Batman having sex with Batgirl on a roof right after talking to Commissioner Gordon.
Or shooting people in the face.
Yeah, I know your dad just gave us our assignment. Let's have sex right here.
Let's go bone. Also, I'm 40.
You're 18.
Yep.
And dating my adopted son.
All right.
You see the problem?
I'm over this.
You see the problem?
I'm over this.
Anyways, happy Saturday, folks.
Happy Saturday.
Watch
we're gonna go.
Jaws.
We're gonna go watch Jaws later.
And now we stop recording.